Okay, today is September the 25th, 2015, and we're watching the rainbow infrared loop for the Northeast Pacific. And we're watching a tropical storm. This is Niala right here. And Niala is heading northwest at approximately 7 miles per hour and heading right for the big island of Hawaii. So let's go take a look at that right now. Let's take a look at that. Here is the water vapor loop for the Hawaiian Islands, and this is Niala right here. And Niala is forecast to continue moving in a northwest direction. And this is a tropical storm with 50-mile-per-hour winds. All right, now we can see a blast pattern all along here. So they're hitting this storm very gradually as it moves towards Hawaii. There's nothing, they're not killing it in one fell swoop, but they are hitting it, and we do see this pattern. This is a blast pattern. We see the water vapor, all these little fingers that are sticking out. That's a signature blast pattern. And let's go look at this also on the. This is the infrared mode. Okay, and we see here a little bit of diminishment, and then it rebuilds. But the fingers along here, this is the blast pattern that took place very early on in the video sequence in this loop. We see that in the beginning of the loop, the very first frame, and then about the third or fourth frame, then we see this blast pattern. So somewhere along in that loop, the storm was targeted. However, it is a very subtle blast. They're using probably a microwave to accomplish this. Now, I think they're hitting it right down in the right-hand corner of that storm. Okay, now let's look at this in the visible light mode. Right here. And there is not a whole lot to see except for a blast pattern right in the lower right corner, right down there. We can see a bit of a blast pattern there. And even in this view, we can see some of these fingers of water vapor that are sticking out radially around the edge of that storm. Okay, this is the infrared loop once again. Okay, so they are hitting that storm, but they're not killing it off, but they are throttling it back, and it will be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. All right. Okay, so let's go to the bigger map now, the infrared for the Northeast Pacific, and take a look at what's happening. Today in Los Angeles, we had about 96-degree weather. It was not nearly as hot as they had forecast. We were supposed to have over 100-degree heat today. It was supposed to be hotter today than yesterday, but it was actually cooler today than yesterday. It was around 100 degrees yesterday, and today it was around 96. Today we had the barometric pressure is lower tonight. It's around 29.98, so the pressure is lower. We've got 45% relative humidity. That's a little bit higher than this morning and yesterday. Now, I took a couple of videos of some chemical aerosol spraying going on in the LA area today and yesterday, and I posted those. Actually, they were both from today. But we see why they were spraying in the skies today, and that's because we have this long moisture field, this tail, that's coming off of a spinning low pressure. This is counterclockwise right here. And we can see that there's a HARP transmitter on this, right in the core. And the entire area is very dry as well. This is a high pressure that's been built into the area. But this moisture field is moving right into LA. We can see that happening right there. All right, now there's been a lot of chemtrails. The last 3 days, I was only able to capture the video today One nighttime video the other night, which didn't turn out very well, but on some screens you actually can see the nighttime sky. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this in the the infrared mode. We can see that there's actually quite a bit of water vapor moving in over the LA area right here, and this is where they were chemtrailing today. All right, especially off on the western offshore. We could see a lot of chemtrails. All right. Okay, so let's go now and look at the. This is the East Pacific water vapor loop, and this is a close-up of that low pressure that's spinning. They've got heat on this. We can see the dark area right in the center of that core. All right, and then we have a HAARP transmitter all through this entire area, generating high pressure and an onshore flow to the northeast. Now, tonight on the KCAL 9 weather, they reported just exactly the opposite. They reported that we have an offshore flow from high pressure that moved over from the center of the country. Let's go back to the big map again. They were claiming that the high pressure that we've got out here came from Texas. Actually, moved over from Texas, but basically the high pressure. There is a high pressure right here, but it's not centered over Texas. It's actually centered over right here, middle of Mexico or northern Mexico, right here. So everything is spinning clockwise about that center point right there. All right, but there's also high pressure out here over the top of this spinning low, which is bringing all that moisture into LA, and that's why they were chemtrailing all day today. And we'll probably see more aerosols tomorrow as well. In fact, this whole area is probably being sprayed. There's no rain. It's just a lot of chemtrails to to dry this area out, causing a capping inversion layer in the atmosphere. All right, let's go ahead and look at the. Here we go. Here's a new disturbance. There's two disturbances, one here and one way over by the Central America area. And let's go look at those right now. Okay. You've got, this is the first disturbance with a 30% chance of hurricane in 2 days. And then we have this one down here. This has a 70% chance of hurricane formation in 2 days. So we're going to keep an eye on those and see what happens. All right. Okay, and this is that Hawaii map we just looked at. That is Niala. All right, so we saw those maps. Let's go now and look at the, this is the northwest Atlantic. We're looking actually at, this is the eastern part of the United States. And what's happening here, this is kind of interesting. We've got a low right here, low pressure right here spinning counterclockwise. We've got a low right here spinning counterclockwise. And we have this tropical storm Ida right here that has been targeted all the last 3 or 4 days right here. And we have a very large area of high pressure out here. And this is interesting because this area of high pressure is not allowing this storm to move away from the United States. In fact, this is blocking anywhere that this storm can't go anywhere except where it is. So it's parked. This is kind of a stationary system. When we look at this in the Hurricane Center map, this thing is just sort of meandering around in a very tight sort of a radius. It's a very small circle of movement. It's just not moving much, and they've had a transmitter on it. We've been watching that. We can see that there's heat here, to keep this thing from moving in towards the United States. But at the same time, we have a low right here that's receiving some heat right here from a HAARP transmitter. So we've got 1, 2, 3 of these on the eastern side of the country, which are receiving HAARP downburst heat right here, here, and here, and also this giant high pressure, which I'm not sure who's responsible for that high pressure, but it's certainly helping to keep this weather towards the eastern seaboard, and that's kind of interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on this and see what's in store for all this weather. There's a flow. We can see what's happening here. This flow is moving out to the northeast, up much further north into the North Atlantic. And so anyhow, we'll just keep an eye on that and see what happens. In the meantime, chemtrails is on the menu for tomorrow. I will predict that right now because of this moisture flow. We'll see more chemical aerosol chemtrails tomorrow. And also, we have a moisture field right here. So anyone living in the Bay Area and also in the Tahoe area and anywhere in between that area on Highway 50 or 80, I'm sure you're probably seeing chemtrails as well. All right, so that's it. We'll go ahead and do an update tomorrow.